everybody. This is Troy from Susan Man Entertainment, your one stop for all things entertainment. And I want to talk about 2023. It's a good year so far. I would think it's a pretty good year so far. So let's catch on up. Let's catch up from January all the way to April. So we're a third into the year. So this is a third into the year, so we're catching up. Let's get into it. Movies and games so far. I have seen quite a few new movies, so let's get into. I think the first new movie I saw of the year was Megan. Now this was a pretty decent horror film. I thought I had low expectations. I know that there was it was trending a little bit on social media, but I liked it. I haven't seen the unrated version, but I do want to see it because I hear good things, and it feels like it definitely could have been rated R, but it was a PG-13 kind of movie. It feels like Chucky for a new age, and it didn't have like those real crazy kind of kills, but it was kind of a slow burner kind of movie that kind of, you know what you're getting, but it's just kind of how we connect with the characters. Because, hey, even if it's no excuse, even if it's a horror film, I still want to you still want to connect with the characters, unless it's just like one of those disposable popcorn flicks where it's like a bunch of one-note characters getting hacked up by Jason or Freddy or something. But this isn't. I didn't felt that. We do care about the character, and the little girl in there, her parents are die, and she is not able to mourn properly, so she attaches to this, robot lifelike doll, and craziness ensues. So, it was pretty good. It's definitely I thought it was good. Definitely worth a watch. So let's move on. Let's move right along. Let's see. No, this is no particular order. Okay, so Tetris. This is one I did want to see. Tetris was an Apple Plus or Apple TV movie, and it was pretty decent. It's based on the true story of how one man tried to get Tetris over into America and get the rights and kind of help the creator of it, who was Russian, get his family over here, because this is during Soviet Russia, the Cold War type era, and very communist, and he wasn't even able to earn anything from his own creation. So yeah, the kind of movie ties it up, and they make probably more villains than there actually was, and there's some interesting things, though. It does drag a bit, and there are some pacing issues. Like there's a lot of scenes of them, people talking around a board meeting kind of setting, like negotiating deals, and then there's some, I don't know how much of this was true with the Russians making threats and beating up people, that are trying to make money off of this. But I don't know. It's pretty entertaining, though. It does drag in areas. I will say that. So I think it was definitely worth a watch. I'd say the first half is a lot better than the last half of the movie. The first half was very interesting. Definitely held my interest. Let's see. Okay, I just saw this last night. Cocaine Bear. This movie is talk about embellishing on facts. My lord, this movie. I read the real story about a bear that that apparently did a bunch of cocaine and died, and they just saw a true story. Bear is found dead next to cocaine, and they found a bunch of cocaine in its system. Apparently, it's on display in a mall somewhere. The real bear, and a smuggler who fell out of an airplane. I guess he bumped his head on the way out or something. So this movie, that's the only two deaths that were recorded. So this movie really embellishes. Like there's so much bounty count. It's like they took this true story and just like Hollywood the fuck out of it. Like, but for the most part, you're getting some entertaining kills and some interesting stuff. Not everything. I mean, there's just too many quirky characters. There's just like, hey, how about we just add a bunch of quirky characters that do quirky things and then murder them? I mean, and that part is enjoyable. There's some definitely enjoyable deaths and stuff that, I mean, you can't put logic into this movie at all. This movie, the facts are way gone, and now we're in like straight up, an anime or something. Like this shit's crazy. There's stuff that a bear could never do. But this is a fun, mindless popcorn flick, and for that, it's fine. I think it runs a little too long, maybe like 20 minutes too long, because at the end you're just like, okay, let's wrap up this cocaine bear. I mean, it shouldn't take this long, and then they throw some stupid ending that doesn't even make sense or should even be there. But okay, let's just do it. But for that, I had some fun with it. It was fine. It was aight. It was aight. Maybe a fun movie that you'll watch with your friends drinking or maybe on coke. Let's see, Missing. Okay, I actually talked to the screenwriter who wrote this fun story. I'll talk about screenwriting later. But I told him I took the family to go see it. We saw the one that came out before this. I forget, what was the one that came out before that? It's kind of the one with John Cho and his gone. I forget what that was. Searching. I think that was called Searching. My bad. But Missing was fine. It definitely had an interesting twist, and it's real like, you can say, it's a low budget movie and it uses technology to kind of show they don't use traditional camera work. Everything's used from like iPhone, phones and laptop cameras and stuff like that, which is part of the charm. It's very unconventional in its storytelling, but it does tell a pretty interesting story. And I enjoyed it. It definitely held my interest, and I thought it was more than I thought it was definitely worth. I forgot my whole system. It's been so long. It's better than it's like pretty good. I don't know. I don't think it was badass or anything, but it was definitely pretty good. All right, let's look. Knock at the Cabin. This it's another Shyamalan movie, and definitely better than Old. But it's really probably his most like, how do I want to say this? His most like, I wouldn't say safe, but more like traditional kind of movie. There's not a lot of twists. There is like a kind of, you don't know what, are these, I don't know if you know the story, but four people show up to a cabin with a gay couple and their adopted daughter, and they're like, hey, one of you gotta die to stop the apocalypse, and we're symbolic. I don't want to give away the twist, but it's pretty, what you see is what you get. And I've seen worse movies. I thought it was just I didn't think it was terrible, though some of the dialogue is like, but it's okay. The ending's kind of hokey, but I thought it's one of his, I wouldn't say better, but it's not his worst movie. I would say that. Definitely not as bad as Old. No, it's definitely worth a watch. Some people might say it was really good. I don't know. All right, let's see what else. Infinity Pool. I haven't seen that one yet, but I plan on watching that. All right. I already talked about Dungeons and Dragons and Mario. I really like Dungeons and Dragons. I think it's really good entertainment, good movie, funny. Mario movie. It's not that funny, but kids are gonna like it, and fans will like it a lot. But it could have been so much better. It could have been so much more. In just the way that it told the story, I think could have been really, really good. Let's see what else. Um, anything else? No, yeah, there's probably a couple more movies. I just haven't got to them yet. I haven't seen the new Scream yet. Of course, I haven't seen the one before it as well. But I heard good things about the new Scream movies. I heard they're okay. Okay, no. Oh, okay. You People. I saw that on Netflix, and man, that it started off pretty good. You know, Seth Rogen. Why did I say Seth Rogen? I'm sorry, Jonah Hill. I'm sorry, Jonah Hill. You're not Seth Rogen. And he meets another woman. I mean, you look at this cast, and you're like David Duchovny, Eddie Murphy, um, Jonah Hill, and Julie Louise Dreyfus. I mean, these are some funny people. And it's, man, a lot of the characters are really one note, and this movie meanders. My oh my, does it waste your time with getting to the, the romance should be in the forefront, and it kind of tries, but man, it has too much like courting and silly setups with bad payoffs. The payoffs are real bad in here. This movie's actually kind of bad. I think this movie's kind of craptacular, actually. I don't. It was starting off really good, but I just couldn't. No. And I was looking forward to it. I was like, man, that's a good. I was like looking at the cast line. I'm like, whew, this is some good ass movie, people in this movie. This ought to be good. Let's see. Anything else? Trying to think. Okay, yeah. Last movie. I don't know if Suzume, and this actually came out last year, in Japan, but I just saw this last night, or I just saw this, tonight. I say, and this is this is the best movie I've seen this year, and it's made by the director Makoto Shinkai, and he made Weathering You and Your Name. I love Your Name. I think that's one of his best movies, and it's just like a classic romance, star-crossed lovers, and it just tells such a great tale, and man, you feel so. I gotta admit, I teared up a little at the end. Now, Suzumi, or Suzumi, or however they want to say it, it's basically a road trip movie. It's about a girl that meets a guy, and he's supposed to close all these doors, or this evil force will come out. And she accidentally releases the port key, which is it's like a symbol. It's an actual object, but it actually turns into it's an actual cat if you pull it out, and then they chase the cat throughout. They start at the bottom of Japan and work their way all the way up, hitting all the big places on the way, and she meets interesting people on the way. And it's a very it starts off, you're on board. You're like, it's real simple. You can fully understand, but as it goes through, you really understand that this movie is not about so much them two getting together. The girl and the guy. He goes through some transformations. Let's just say that. But it's really about her trying to cope what happened with her mother, and that kind of gives you that a little bit at the beginning, like a setup, and you're like, what's that about? She lives with her aunt. Mom's not in the picture. We don't know exactly what happened to her mom, and then we find out, at the end, and it really all pulls together. And though there is some pacing issues with it, this is beautifully animated movie, and I think people are gonna love it. This is a character, Suzumi, that we can really get behind. She doesn't have any, she has her flaws, but she also is just wanting to be part of something bigger. I think she wants. She's 17. She's about to be on the cusp of doing big things, and it's really good. It really pulls itself at some point. You're like, why is that happening or what? But it really does. It kind of explain everything in the end, and it's a really good ride. I teared up a little bit at the end, so I would think this is his second best movie. Some people say it's his best movie. I still think Your Name is better because it's really tight. It's real tight, like no wasted scenes. Here, there's a couple of kind of wasted scenes. I think that were they just didn't need. Not even for a laugh. Some were just set up some these beautiful road trip through Japan, but others could have it definitely could have went without 15 minutes at the end. It could have been a little bit tighter. It didn't need to be 2 hours. But very good movie. So far, the best movie I've seen this year. So, might be on my top 10 list. Okay, so that's the movies. So let's talk about games. There's been some really good bangers. So let's talk about the newest game I just played, Resident Evil 4 Remake. Wow, there's some great remakes this year. Oh my god. Resident Evil, Dead Space, Metroid Prime. Whoo-wee! All three of those bangers. If you haven't played them, absolutely play them. Like, they are all good. Resident Evil 4 is, I think, a victim of its own kind of... I think it's too long. I mean, it adds, like, I don't know, like... I want to say it adds, like, 10 hours to the game. I've beaten the original Resident Evil 4 quite a few times, like 6 or 7 times. This adds a ton more to it, but I think to its detriment, it just kind of pads stuff out. Some of it's good, and some of the scenarios that happen in Resident Evil 4, the remaster, happen differently, but there are a lot of like quality of life improvements that fans are going to enjoy. If you never played it, you're going to have a good time. But I think, I don't... Is it better than the original? In some ways, it is absolutely better than the original, no doubt. There is more to it. They add more to it. Is it for the better, though? That's what I'm saying. Some people might like the extra. Some people might be like, it's don't need all that. So, I don't know. It's going to be different, but it's definitely a solid purchase. I mean, you can buy this game... no doubt. So Dead Space Remake. This one is a little closer to the original. Now, it does add new things and new places and spaces, but not like nearly the way Resident Evil 4 did. Resident Evil added a ton to that game. But Dead Space is definitely way scarier than Resident Evil 4. Not even close. Dead Space, a lot more scary. I liked it a lot. It's definitely better than the original. Absolutely. This is the definitive way to play Dead Space, is the remake. Absolutely. Definitely worth a purchase. Alright, the controversial Hogwarts Legacy. This is a great game. You should, if you're a Harry Potter fan, you probably already have it and beaten it a couple of times. If you're on the fence, dude, this game has a lot going for it, and a lot of fun, a lot of world to explore. It's really good. The story is like, the story is pretty interesting. It's not like super deep, but it's okay. It's better than those damn Fantastic Beasts movies. All right, let's see what else. Things that haven't came out: Diablo 4, Final Fantasy 15, or is that 16? Either way, haven't played those yet because they're not out. Let's see. Metroid Prime Remastered. Whoo-wee. This is the definitive way to play this game. You better believe it. This game looks way better than the original. This game is beautiful. It still has the problems that Metroid Prime, the original, does. That stupid Chozo artifact hunt. You gotta go. Easter hunt. You gotta go. Kind of padding at the end I didn't really like. But for the most part, you can't complain a lot. This game is gorgeous. Not, I think it's still the best in the trilogy, even though the part 2 has better bosses, no doubt, and some quality of life improvements, but the story is not as good, in my opinion. And there's a bunch of, if they do remaster part 2, Metroid Prime 2 Echoes, they need to fix some things, because there are a lot of annoying little things in that game that I don't, the dark and light world, it takes like 10 full seconds to go into it and to come out, and you do that like 80 times in a game, 100 times. That's like hours out of your time that you just had to sit there and wait for a loading screen, essentially. So no good. Atomic Heart, I didn't really get to play that. I heard mixed reviews. So let's see. Okay, Tchia. This is like baby's first Breath of the Wild, essentially. It's a game about this island of New Capelia. I forget what it's called. But it's based on like a real people and real culture. But they put this like kind of fantasy world thing a little bit into it. You know, it's a game, so the combat system, there is no combat system per se. And it is a game that's not for me. Let's just say that. There's a bunch of little side missions and a bunch of little things to explore and whatnot, and little things that boat races. There's a bunch of boat races, and then there's a thing and a bunch of things to, archery things, a bunch of those that you gotta do. But they're not that fun. I will tell you. The most fun or interesting thing about this game is that you can jump your soul, your body, into different animals. Like jump into a shark and now you're a shark. Jump into a bird and now you're a bird. And you're flying around or you're swimming around. That's the coolest thing. But it's only for limited time. But there's really no like combat and whatnot. It's kind of a passive game, and it's just okay. It's just not a game for me. Let's just say that. And some people might like it, but I put quite a few hours into it too. So the story's kind of all over, and then it has like mandatory music sections where you have to play music, or you just can't skip it. You have to go through it. It's cool that you have a ukulele that you can just bust out and start playing, real songs if you figure out, the chords and stuff. But overall, you can skip it. You're not missing much, really. It's beautiful, though, like most games. And I think that's it. Yeah, that's, I didn't play Forspoken. I heard it was not very good. And we're waiting on Tears of the Kingdom. Tears of the Kingdom. Is that what it's called? Yeah, Tears of the Kingdom. Legend of Zelda, the sequel to Breath of the Wild. Everyone's excited about that. So, I can't wait to give you my review there. So there you go. We are all caught up now. To the 2023, we're all caught up. If I missed a movie or a game, leave a comment. Nobody's really watching these videos I'm putting out. I only have 54 subscribers. It's okay, I understand. But one day, maybe someone will look back and, comment on this. But anyways, I completely understand. But if you enjoy this, stick around. I assure you, I will do better content. I'm just doing these like quick little videos because it's easier. I don't have an editor. Those other videos, they take forever to edit. Oh, God, they became a chore. But anyways, if you like this, stick around, and I swear there'll be better things coming. Please stick around for more Susan Man Entertainment.